listen to the disrespect of black women, and then we don't check nobody on it. And when we do check somebody on it, we're not weeping insensitive. No clearance. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the No Clearance Podcast. It's your boy Jay. I'm joined here with the homie K Tuda, KC.
Gang,
and it's
gang.
another episode with just us two without Tyler. I appreciate y'all calling yourself shit. But I want to finish it. I want this to be the shit talk. We just gonna talk shit this episode.
Oh, come on, shit talk.
I'm gonna completely just disregard Tyler's thing with you and make it my own, but better. I thought about this for a week. Again, Tyler's not here. He wish he could be here. Not really. He's living it up. Can't tell you where he's living it up at, but he's living his best life right now. But welcome back. If you haven't subscribed, hit the like button. Hit the little bell on YouTube. Please do that. That always helps, Also, check out Dare to Talk, KC's podcast. The queen of the pod herself. She's been killing it. She just dropped a great episode with what's his name? Hollywood Tim,
the guy.
That dude's hilarious. He's smoking hookah the whole time. You gotta experience it. You gotta experience it.
Whole time.
For real. But before we start, Casey, let me check in with you real quick. How you doing?
This is the last week of school, so the kids we're almost at the finish line. Just trying to wake myself up and go to work and do the job. But yeah, I don't know. I'm ready for this part to be over, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this is always the worst time of the year.
Yeah.
It's so close, but so far away.
But so far away.
It just feel like it's just going to drag till the school year's over. But then you're off for the summer, so then you get to live your best life.
Ooh, I'm not off for the summer. I'm a 12-month employee.
Oh, damn, Casey.
See, but they don't tell you this part of leadership, though. Damn, they tell you, aspire to be more, and then you aspire, you get there, and then it's like, oh, you have to work through the summers.
What you gotta do in the summer? Recruit kids? What are you doing? That don't make no sense.
Essentially, recruit kids for real. Come up with schedules. Make sure that everything's set. So when teachers come back, it's like we're just push and play and getting it done. But I know my God is great and my God is awesome. So I'm not going to return because I'm going to have another job offer.
Oh, word. All right.
We're manifesting that. Yeah.
Yes, let's manifest that for 2025. Hopefully 2025, no later than the beginning of 2026.
You understand?
After Christmas, get that break, girl. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean?
How
about you? How are you?
I'm great, Casey. I'm just happy to be here. I thought she was going to say alive and well earlier, and I was going to go on.
I'm alive and well still. Yeah, I'm alive and well. Yeah.
I was going to go on this whole thing about how, I think about that on a daily basis.
Why?
That's a great saying. Alive and well. Just some days you just wake up, you know what? I'm just alive and well. That's all that matters.
I mean, because at the core, I really think sometimes in our adult life, we get so caught up in things we don't have. And it's I'm alive and I'm well. I'm able-bodied. You can't focus on what you don't have because that's depressing.
Sometimes that's all you need to think about to get you through the day. You know what? Everything ain't going the way it's supposed to be, but at least I'm alive and well. That's all that matters. At the end of the day. I love it. Let's get this episode started. We're gonna jump right into my nerd news this week. So this weekend, The Last of Us season 2 finally ended. Now I started to talk about the first episode when that dropped, and I got a little behind. So I'm gonna just talk about the season as a whole.
Okay.
This season was confusing for me. It was really good when it was really good. The first 2 episodes was fire. It came out with a bang. It stalled a little bit, had another good episode, and then just ended real flat. So it just felt like one of those things where it's they hyped it up so much, and then when you finally get it, they just didn't stick the landing, in my opinion. I think the show was really well acted. Everybody in the show did a really good job. Pedro Pascal killed it, like always. Everyone else killed it. The girl that plays Ellie, she killed it. She she's acting her ass off. Now, what the writers did for her character wasn't the best, but she still did her job and she killed it. Everything
Mm.
about the show in total, everything was done well. It
Okay.
wasn't like people cared. The problem with this season is I don't think the writing was the best.
Ooh.
I think this season was really rushed.
What do
It
you
was
mean
only
by
set.
rushed?
So this show's based off a video game.
Okay.
And it's basically doing the story of the video game, which is fine because the video game is set up like a movie. It would be really hard to like diverge from what the game does, what you do in the
Mm.
game.
Yeah.
But it just feels like they're just jumping too fast to things. It feels like they're just going to the next big thing as quickly as they possibly can. And it doesn't feel like they're taking their time and paying attention to detail when it comes down to the writing. Now,
Mm.
there's a lot of characters in the game that in a show you can expand upon a little bit more, give them a few more scenes, change, do that, and they just don't. There's some characters where it's like you could have gave them an episode for us to feel more attached to
So there
them a
wasn't
little
like
bit.
enough like character development.
Not for some characters.
Okay, so
For
not okay.
for the side characters, all the side characters, in my opinion, just felt like they was there unless they were like unless they had something to do that episode. But
Gotcha.
like the main issue I had with this season was how they did Ellie. It's like the
Mm.
show purposefully made you want to dislike her.
Mm-hmm.
And the actress, nothing against the actress, because I don't want to get this whole thing started with been getting a lot of backlash. This show in general has been getting a lot of backlash.
Yeah.
And I just want to, even though I'm saying negative things about it, I don't want to be grouped into that. I'm
Mm.
talking about the show in itself, just to preface. But the actress, she did a great job. But what they did with her character is every move she did, it just felt like she was incompetent. And in the
Mm.
game, she's very competent. Like she's a badass in the game.
Yeah.
And they just whatever they're doing, it just makes you dislike her. Like every move they make, it's like I never seen a show try to make you dislike the main character so much.
What do you think the intention is behind that? Because I know you mentioned like, hey, you want to kind of you don't want to deviate from what is already
Yeah.
produced, but you do want it to feel like a sense of like, this is different from,
Yeah.
the game or whatever the case may be. So why do you feel like there's like intention in that? Like,
I feel like this isn't a type of dislike where like, oh, this character sucks. I hate them, but they're just
mm,
such a good character. I think is legitimately like they just made her annoying.
okay,
So like they didn't they didn't do the thing where she's like evil and
mm,
like, oh yeah, she's real bad. I hate her, but like you really like she's doing a really good job. Like if you've seen her in something else, you'd be like, oh, I gotta watch that. She's really good in that show.
gotcha, okay,
It's she's doing it to the best of her ability and she's doing a really good job. It's just what they're having her do doesn't make a lot of sense. Like for instance, now this is a weird scene in the show,
mm,
but one of the characters that's like her love interest announces that she's pregnant.
okay.
And she looks up at the screen and she goes, I'm gonna be a dad. And it's just like that was cringy how they did it.
Oh, okay,
You know
okay.
what
I
I'm
get what you
saying?
mean.
Like it was just like they did things and it was just like her character was cringy. She ain't listen to nobody. When everything she did seemed like it was an accident or she was incapable to do it. And it's just I don't like what they did with the character. And I think
Mm,
that might have really ruined the show for a lot of people,
hmm.
especially because this is a big spoiler. I don't know if you're ever gonna watch it, Casey. But
Probably
in the
not.
second episode of the season, our boy Pedro Pascal gets killed.
Damn.
He dies.
Probably had another
Just as
project.
just as soon as he did in the video game. Like that was a very big controversy of the second season based off the second game. The big controversy is how they killed the main character of the first game.
Yeah.
And they did that really well, but also at the same time, the character that killed her is supposed to be the next main character, another main character in the show. You don't
Mm.
see her again until the end of the season,
Oh.
and that
Mm.
was I just feel like they could have done the show better
Mm.
to still line up with everything that happens in the game, but also not go the predictable route because it ended exactly where I thought it was gonna end, and it's doing exactly what I thought it was gonna do to match up with the game. And the good thing about what happened last season was they still did everything in the game, but they still made it unique enough where it felt different in its own, and not that like it was just trying to get from one story beat to the next.
Got you. Okay. 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 Huh.
So it was.
Interesting.
I'm as a total.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give I'm gonna give it a score out of 10. Um, I'm gonna give it like a 6 out of 10.
Oh, that's not even passing.
Yeah, it's like a 6 out of 10. The
It's a
last
D.
season, the last season was like an 8, 9.
Okay.
It was really
Wow,
good.
but that's a good little
That's a big
jump
fall
down
off.
though. Yeah.
Yeah. And the way and that's not to say the show isn't a good show. I still
Mm-hmm.
think it's a good show. It's still got a good story. There's still really good things that happens in the show.
Yeah.
But I just think it rushed things too much. I got this whole thing now where no show's gonna be good unless it's a limited series. If it's less than 10 episodes a season,
Telling you, I've been trying to tell
yeah,
y'all. I really have
because
gotten. I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I think sometimes when there's a lot of episodes, to your point, it's like one, you run the risk of like having filler episodes. So it's like
yep,
episodes that's like this didn't add to the plot at all,
mm-hmm,
or you have episodes that are jam packed, but then it doesn't like they don't go well together, if that makes sense.
yep,
So it's like each episode is like its own show and not necessarily it's not cohesive.
yeah, and it's just one of those things where if you're gonna do less than 10 episodes,
Mm,
you got to make sure every episode's a banger.
yeah.
You
Mm,
know, like for instance, the other big show that was coming out the same time as this show is Andor on Disney Plus, the Star Wars show.
I
That
have not
show,
been on Disney Plus. I need to check out Disney Plus.
if you're into Star Wars, you'd really like Andor. If you're not into
Mm,
Star Wars, you probably won't like Andor. You probably won't. It's a good show in a total, but if you're not into Star Wars, you're not gonna like get the same feeling that the show
gotcha.
should give you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I will say that show dropped 12 episodes, and it was only out for 4 weeks. They dropped 3 episodes a week, and it was like 4 miniature movies a week,
Oh, that's not bad.
and that show was really good. And that show was over 12 episodes, but if that show was only 9 episodes, it still would have been a really
Yeah,
good season
would have
of
been solid.
television.
Mm,
Exactly. So like the just the whole but to get back to The Last of Us, that's
mm,
why I give it a 6 out of 10. I just think it could have been done way better. A lot of the episodes were good, had good moments, but then it was just like, all right, this is dragging a little bit. Even the best
mm,
episode of the season, critically the best episode, is everyone's saying is the second to last episode,
mm,
the flashback episode. They're saying that's the best episode, and that was still a little slow for me.
mm.
I think the best episode is the one when Joel died, but that's because it was an action packed thing.
Gotcha.
There was a zombie horde coming on, friggin' Pedro Pascal getting snatched up. You think
Ooh, jeez.
you think he's safe. You think they're all good, and then
Mm.
they turn on him. It's a whole thing.
Oh wow.
He gets shot in the leg. They murder that boy.
Oh wow.
That boy get murdered. But he deserved it. The overall story's really good. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you get into video games, I
Mm-hmm.
recommend the games, both of them. I just it's one of those things where they could have doing so many different ways, and they just decided not to do it the best.
Gotcha. Okay.
At least this season.
Fair.
Hopefully they learn their lessons. They seem like they have a staff that responds to the fans.
Oh, that's good. That's
So
good.
like and the guy who makes the game is very involved with the show, so he seems like he's a little in
Oh, and you
touch.
know what? I'm not gonna hold you. I feel like sometimes when they do like remakes or they
Yeah,
take something and put it, make it into a show, they miss that like
yeah,
authenticity because they don't have the
yeah,
person like there and involved. So that's good that he's involved or he or she.
yeah. So he yeah. So it's a he. I think he wrote a couple episodes and directed a couple too. He's good, but like the show is just they need a go back to the
But
drawing
maybe
board.
this is like setting the like stage for the next season though.
So here's my thing. All right, this here's my thing about this though. Is they didn't have to the way they're going about it, they're stretching it out to 4 seasons. I already know they're making the second game in the 3 seasons of TV, which
Okay.
is fine and all, but it should have been like 10 episode seasons, and then they could have dived into some of the characters in the game
Mm.
and like for instance, this is character Jesse.
Okay.
He's a really good character, and at one point in the season finale, him and Ellie separate and go different directions. Instead
Gotcha.
of just like having that episode be the finale, that could have been the end of an episode. They could have did an episode seeing what Jesse's doing, and then Essie seeing what Ellie's doing, and then have all,
Oh.
and then the season finale, and then the season finale where they ending up in the end of this episode. Like they could have been 3 episodes out of the finale itself, in my
Gotcha.
opinion.
No,
So
that
like,
makes sense.
why would they do it? It's like they were trying to do like the Game of Thrones thing did in their final season. Rush the shit. Sometimes it's
Oh.
best to take your fucking time. Sorry to cuss. It just gets me upset. Just a little bit. And then there's one more thing in my nerd news I want to talk about. I didn't put this in my notes, but I don't know if you
Ooh.
was a big Harry Potter fan or not.
Harry Potter. Yeah, I love Harry Potter.
So I don't know if you know, but they're starting to develop a show
Okay.
for on HBO Max, and they're gonna do a season for every book. So this is guaranteed 7 seasons.
Okay. And there's plenty of
And
content. There's a whole bunch of
yes,
shit in each book.
so today they announced who's gonna be Harry, Ron, and Hermione. I don't know who these child actors are,
Okay, let
but
me get the Google up. Hold on.
look it up, Casey. We'll insert a picture in the video for y'all because this
What?
is I don't know how I feel about these kids, Casey.
Harry Potter
It's already a
cast.
controversial show because
Oh,
of
oh well, they have the Caucasianism, right? They got the
yep.
whiteness. That's great.
Hermione might look like she a little brown. I don't know though. She look like she got a tan.
You know what? I'm not mad at Hermione because it adds a little
Yeah.
sazon, adds a little
Well,
flavor. You know what I mean?
I was expecting a little black girl.
So here's the thing, and I know some people are probably going to chew me up. I recently heard, I don't know if this is like a real thing, but people are trying to say gingers are black.
I seen that too. I don't know how I
So
feel about that.
maybe, you know, I don't know how I feel about that either.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, where are we getting this from? Like, why do we
I don't
think,
know.
you know? And I don't know.
I don't know where that
Hermione
came
had
from.
like, you know, orange hair. So maybe they're like, oh,
She had brown hair.
it was brown?
Yeah,
Oh,
Hermione.
no, it was Ron who was
Ron was the
yeah.
ginger. Ron was the ginger.
I don't know.
Hermione was the little girl with the brown hair that her hair was supposed to be nappy.
No, I'm looking at it and her hair was kind of frizzy, had some.
Yeah, it was supposed to be frizzy.
Yeah.
So I was expecting them, if they're gonna cast anybody, cast a little black girl, because J.K. Rowling said that she always thought of Hermione as a little black girl. But you know, I'll digress. I'm gonna watch the show.
I mean,
I like the movies.
I'm not mad at. I think Hermione's the only cast where I'm like, I don't know. But the other two, I'm like, that's on brand.
Yeah, I think
Ron and Harry, I think that they did a good job on that.
Then this is also some news from the show that came out. This came out a while ago. I don't really necessarily agree with it. But they casted a black man to play Professor Snape.
What? Okay. Oh, I'm looking at this too. Well, he's bald.
I'm not a fan of this either.
You know what? Listen, I think part of Professor Snape's allure and like I feel like his like, how can I say this? Not allure, but like part of his like energy or like why you like hate that you love him is his hair.
Yeah. The black hair, right? The black long hair.
Like that was his, you know.
I think of a pale white man with black hair when I think of Snape. I just don't like the optics of Harry Potter's father when they do the flashback. Harry Potter's father picking on a little black boy.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that either.
I'm not a fan of those optics. I feel like they didn't think about that.
I don't think they thought about how that was going to play out, you know?
Here's my thing, Casey. Now, I don't know if this is going to make me sound like anti-progressive.
Not answer.
And this may counter some points I may have later when we talk about this in the main topic.
Okay.
I don't think every character needs. I don't think. Sometimes I think some characters just can't be black.
And you know what? And it's okay.
I think that's fine. I
It's
feel
okay.
like that.
We because you know what it is. It feels forced.
Yeah,
It's
like
not like an organic, like, oh shit, like, you know,
yeah,
happens to be black. It's
the,
forced. It's like you're like, oh, we have to have X amount of, it's like the
yeah,
workplace. It's like, oh, we have to have X
exactly.
amount of women, X
Yeah,
amount of people of color. I'm not, you know.
exactly. And I'm not saying that like you can't cast anyone else to be black in the show. Cast anyone else as a brother or sister. I
I
don't give
just
a
feel
fuck.
like the core
That
people, though,
character can't be black, unfortunately.
you know who would do a good job of
Anyone
playing
else.
him? I mean, he
His
might need to
godfather.
well,
Harry Potter's godfather. What's that one? Sirius Black. He could be black.
yeah.
His name literally
Mm.
Sirius Black. I make sense.
Well, and you know
But
what? Something about his energy in the movies, it gave off black. I don't know what it
yeah, just a
is.
little bit.
It was
He
like
was.
confidence, swagger.
Yeah,
There you go. It was his swagger.
yeah.
Swagger definitely gave off black.
He was in jail for something he didn't do. He's wrongfully convicted. I'm sorry, that was bad. That was bad. I'm sorry.
No, but that was on
But I'm
brand.
just saying it's on brand. But but
Thoughts, you know.
that's just my thoughts. But that's Jalen Nerd news this week. I'm happy you were able to get involved, Casey. Harry Potter's
Yay!
important.
I love Harry Potter. Yeah, read all the books too.
But now let's get into some stuff. Let's get into some tea. Let's clink them
Tea.
glasses.
Clink,
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 clink.
clink. All
Time for
right,
Casey's tea.
the tea is hot. So, a lot of us have been like, "What the Diddy? Like, what is going on? What's happening?" And so, I wanted us to take some time to just not think through, but kind of like really sit with what these testimonies have revealed. So far, we've had Diddy's former assistant. Obviously, we've had Cassie Ventura, ex-girlfriend, and then we also have had Cassie's mom, along with Kid Cudi. So more recent is his former assistant. The former assistant has testified that Combs, in fact, threatened her life on the first day of work, and this is due to, like, I guess, her past connection or association with Suge Knight. So that's interesting because if you remember that whole East Coast, West Coast, that sounds like that's on brand. She also recounted being detained for 5 days in an abandoned 5 days in an abandoned skyscraper. And there she was subjected to lie detector tests because I guess there had been some missing jewelry. They even went as far as threatening her to, throw her in the East River.
Oh my God.
And then, yeah, this is insane. And then she also described there was a 2011 incident where Combs allegedly kidnapped her at gunpoint to confront Kid Cudi over his relationship with Cassie. So just in that spiel, and this is a former assistant, so you got to think a celebrity, the assistant is your right-hand person. So this is the person that, you trust with basically all your secrets, your life and all that. I just alone off this, obviously we know some stuff from Cassie, the footage have been leaked or whatever. I don't doubt any of this that she's saying, but it goes as far as to show you the kind of like person he is, because this is essentially your help, right? This is somebody that is here to support you, and this is how you're treating him. I thought it was insane to kidnap your own assistant by gunpoint.
That's insane.
It's so aggressive, and
This nigga
I
Diddy
think
sounds
it's
like
so unnecessary.
This nigga Diddy sounds like a real life supervillain. Like, where's Batman?
It's giving Ghost
like,
from
this
Power.
Is insane. Yeah, like this is insane. Like, who did this nigga think he was? This is actually insane, Casey. Like, everything I hear from this shit is
it gets
insane.
worse.
You hear about the semen on the nipples?
I'm telling
You
you.
hear about the semen on the nipples?
It's just
like
it's weird.
Insane. Like, Diddy really is an evil person. Like, this is all alleged, I guess.
Yeah.
But
that was just the assistant. Obviously, I feel like everybody has been talking about Ventura and her kind of testimony. Obviously, she testified that there was years of abuse. being coerced into, taking drugs and being able at these sex parties that we now have referred to as like the freak offs and things of that nature,
Yeah.
it being filmed and then allegedly used as blackmail. And this is where it connects to Cassie's mom, because it was alleged that the mom had to pay. He made her mom pay, I want to say 20 bands, or I know it was a good chunk of change, in order for him not to release said footage or not to blackmail Cassie.
That's insane.
And
The
I'm
man got more
assuming
money in the world and he need 20 G's from
it's changed to him at that point.
That's insane.
So I think that right there shows the control that he wants to have, right? And I'm gonna assume, based on the timeline, that's probably during a time where Cassie was like, they were not together and she was kind of trying to get her own thing going, and he probably used that as blackmail.
Yeah.
And then lastly, the connection to Kid Cudi. I feel like there was a lot of people talking shit about Kid Cudi because they're like, oh, he's a rat, he's a snitch. And here's my thing, and I want to stamp this because I think sometimes we're confused. Not everybody is subscribed to this like snitch culture, right?
Hey, no, but not everybody from the street.
Yeah, not everybody subscribed to the street code. Not everybody is like a street dude. And Jalen, back me up, or tell me if I'm wrong. Kid Cudi was never the guy to talk like he was like a street dude. This is like Kid Cudi to me
is Kid Cudi.
Is like an artistic skateboard kid who just happens to know some hood dudes, but that's not a lifestyle he subscribes to. So also, come to find out, and this is alleged, Diddy fucked this man's dog. Allegedly.
That's what I was gonna ask you.
Allegedly.
He did something to the dog. I can't believe he assaulted the dog. That's crazy.
So I don't know about you, but I don't really give a fuck about street code.
This nigga really is the Joker.
Dog.
Yeah, he fucked my dog. Like, fuck my dog. Like, he literally did that. Like, then he blew up the man's car.
Blew it up, broke into his house, destroyed his car, blew it up. It's just insane. And he would obviously, make these threats and things of that nature. I mean, he's holding his assistant at gunpoint to try to get details about Cudi and Cassie. And I mean, after this, I feel like after hearing all of this, if you are somebody that is like, yeah, Diddy didn't do it, free my nigga, it's crazy. You know that he's paying people $20 an hour to wear t-shirts that say free Diddy?
If I had no job, that'd be an easy one.
So my homeboy brought that up too, right? And I was like, I hear you. But you think 20 an hour, that's like enough for you to... Because they're not covering their face. You're out there. Yeah. People are getting footage, pictures. So that shit's linked to you for life.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean...
I don't know. 20 is not enough for me to do that.
That sounds like an extreme waste of money.
It is.
Like an extreme waste of money. But this whole Diddy stuff is just mind-boggling. Like, I hear something crazy every day. Like, he really sounds like the most evil man in the world.
Yeah. Not good.
Like 96-hour freak offs?
Yeah, I'm telling you, 4 days.
Who's fucking for that long?
But this is why he would coerce her into taking drugs, because if you're on perks, Molly, or whatever, time, I'm sure, feels, it's different if you're like on, narcotics, you're on drugs. It's not the same versus like sober, right? But the fact that he would have her take these drugs, do these freak offs, and then go meet with him after to do whatever the fuck that entailed or involved is insane. It's insane. And I want to say it was over like 10 dudes that like would show up for these freak offs, and they would, they would know the routine. Sad.
It's like he would pay dudes to rape her.
Essentially, that's what it is. If we simplify it, that's what it is.
And it's kind of feel bad for like the sex worker because they're just doing what they're paid to do. Workers, I'm sorry. There's a lot of dudes that he like paid to do this, and like I kind of feel bad for them too because they don't want to do this to this woman, but this is their job.
Yeah,
And
this is not to say like I get now.
And
Well,
like
I
they don't know what's going
yeah.
on. So
Mm-hmm.
they come in to get paid to sleep with Cassie.
Mm-hmm.
And she's
Because
like
in your
into it.
mind, if I'm a sex worker, I'm gonna go where the money is at, right?
Exactly.
Like clearly, doing this line of work to make money, and so if
Yeah.
Diddy's giving me a couple bands, it's
Exactly.
unfortunate. Not saying it's okay, but I'm a sex worker. I'm gonna do it. I can make money, and you don't
Yeah.
know, what that money's for, how that money can change somebody's life. I also want to say too, I think the thing about Diddy, I think it reveals the evilness behind money and like what you are allowed or can get away with. Because what we're talking
Yeah.
about, this is not like a month. This is
Yeah.
years of like
Over
these
years.
freak offs and things of that nature. So it's like, it's so sad to see how this woman had to like tolerate this or endure this. And I know
Mm-hmm.
people, you're going to have those people that's like, oh, well, she could have ran away and did X, Y, and Z. But you have to think, this is a man. And now that I have the information of his like former assistant, if he's willing to threaten and kidnap his assistant by gunpoint, what do you think he's willing to do to Cassie if she's like, no, I don't want
Yeah.
to do this? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's a
Exactly.
level of fear, and also I'm sure she got to a point where it's like Stockholm syndrome.
Well, we did watch a video of her try to run away.
Oh my God, that was tragic. Oof.
So like people who say that, we have the evidence of her trying to run away and what the fuck happened to her.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh, why didn't she leave? We seen her try. I just don't like. Now this may bring us into our main topic, because this is just naturally where this conversation is gonna go. It just sucks that like it's always dudes who always have to discredit or try to say like or play devil's advocate in these situations.
Yeah.
And I just hate to see it all the time. Like, and I also don't want to be like, oh, believe all women, because sometimes women do lie, and that's an unfortunate thing
And that's
too.
real too. Yeah.
I've witnessed that happen to somebody. So, and I've witnessed it happen the other way, like both sides. I've seen someone lie and I've seen someone tell the truth.
Yeah.
So like, it's not 50-50, but it happens. So like, whenever we like as men discredit women in these situations, it just is like, it's fucked up, especially when it happens to like women of color. Now Cassie's not a black woman, but at the same time, she was part of the culture. She's still a woman, So like, I just don't. We gotta stop like first thing to go to when talking about women being abused or any women being hurt is to discredit them or be like they're lying, because majority of the time they're not lying.
No.
And this shit actually happened. So like, I'm just sick of seeing, especially black women, that like we always discredit them when they're the ones who get victimized the most, and then for some reason we act like it's not happening.
And this is probably for sure going to tie into that, but I think that happens so often because there's this narrative spewed that it's black women that are targeting black men and making black men's life, hard. And it's like, no, we're not raging a war against y'all. I think holding someone accountable is different from raging a war against somebody, right?
Exactly.
Like, I think as black women, we are going to hold a black man accountable. Now, I think me, myself, I'm going to hold anybody accountable, period.
Yeah.
But especially a black man, because I know what's out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I really feel like if Diddy, and could be that, this man is evil and wasn't right in the head, sure. But I think oftentimes when people get to a certain level, they have all these yes people around them, and people just, feeding you what you want to eat. And it's like, no, that's wrong. And this is why you shouldn't do this. This is why. How many incidents, and I'm not going to, this is not, he's not the only Diddy out there. There's so many Diddies, but it's like at what point do we say as a culture, nah, that shit's not okay. We're going to, you know what I mean? Nip that shit in the bud and name that shit's wrong. And we're not going to back that up. But oftentimes we come up, men specifically come up with excuses of like why it's okay. Oh no,
Yeah.
well, why did she stay then? You're hearing all this traumatic shit this woman went through, and your first thought is, well, she didn't have to stay. She could have left.
Exactly. And that's the problem.
And that
Because
is always giving men, and I put this, I think it's a red flag to me as a black woman. Any man to tell me free Tory, free
Yeah.
Diddy. Like to me,
Yeah.
that tells me that one, you don't have a mind of your own. Cause I feel like that's like what the crowd, people that are not informing themselves of this shit, they're just going with the wave and like what everybody,
Exactly.
says, or they're those contrary people like on contraire. Like, no, like
Yeah.
it's very black. It's like right, wrong. There are certain
Exactly.
things where it gets like, mixed up. But in this situation, there's a right side and there's a wrong side. You shouldn't
Exactly.
coerce people to take drugs and do freak offs. You shouldn't force people to do something that they don't want to do. Like it,
Yeah.
period. Like,
And then put the fear of them to never be able to leave,
speak their truth or leave.
speak up or say no, or like, no, not today. Like, this man put the fucking fear of God into her on a daily basis, and people acting like he did it. And then people want to act like, oh, free Diddy, you can't believe it, because she also wanted to participate in the drugs and the freak offs too. It was out of duress. You ain't never heard of duress? It's like people forget about these things. They forget that like sometimes you can't, when you're in these situations, you can't get out of it. You're too scared to get out of it. You think you're gonna die. Again, we watched a video of her trying to leave.
There was a video, there was some article or something floating around, and I don't know how true this is, but based off everything else I've read, it's not far-fetched, but he would be in control of like her medical records. So if she would go to a doctor's appointment or whatever, he would receive that information. So it's like you can't even go to get, a procedure or get a checkup or whatever without this man being looped in. So he embedded himself so much into this woman's life where it's like there was no exit. There's no way out. But I say all that to say I think the Diddy situation is sad. I'm glad that Cassie's done. I know that Dawn went on. She was somebody that was part of Deante Kyle at one point. And then Dirty Money when he was like, having bitches on leashes and collars and shit.
She witnessed all that stuff too.
Yeah. And I want to say too, shout out to I think it's Aubrey or Audrey. She's also part of Deante Kyle, and she's been saying this shit for years. Nobody was listening to her. They said she was bitter. They said she was crazy.
They had that girl think. They had people thinking that girl was insane.
Yeah,
that's fucked up.
I think she was on a podcast and she was like, "I'm not testifying because this is all the shit I've been saying. So I'm gonna get on the stand and say everything I've been saying. No, I'm good." So,
good for her.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, you know what? If I've been saying the shit and now you want me to testify, I don't need to testify. Just look at all the shit I've been saying. Why do I need to testify? I've said it. I get that, I get that. They really had, this dude's really evil. He extorted her mama.
Yeah.
He extorted her mother.
For you to be loaded and have all the money you have and then to extort.
And then force a family to take out a second mortgage on their home to pay you is insanity. Like this man is literally diabolical.
And I want people to know, like, it's not even the money. It's not the control. Money. It's the ability to make life hell. Like, how can I make it difficult for you? Yeah. Like you know what I mean?
Because that's supposed to be a woman he loves.
Supposedly.
Like that was his girl. And he gonna do that to her mother? That's insane.
I also kind of want to get...
He lucky he ain't got his ass whooped. You know what? Sometimes people get too rich and then, they can't get their ass whooped no more, and they forget that they can't get their ass whooped. They can still get their ass whooped if they mess with the right person.
Yeah.
Look at what... Remember J. Cole?
You start to walk around like you're untouchable. True. Yeah,
remember J. Cole? J. Cole stepped to me and fuck with the nigga forever.
Yeah.
So, J. Cole's you know what? Good for J. Cole.
That
man got hindsight for sure.
I do want to shout out Cassie's husband, and I want to shout out Cassie. that man was in the courtroom, and anytime it was anything like they show pictures of Cassie or videos, he would look very briefly and then look at Cassie, kind of like locking in, like, hey, I got you, like that, like support. Anytime they would talk about the abuse or anything like that, her husband would grill down P. Diddy and P. Diddy's family. But the crazy part about that is the family would be looking at him, like looking right back at him. I mean,
they got a cult over there. He got them kids. He got them kids drinking the Kool-Aid. Their father can't do no wrong in their eyes.
Here's the thing, though. I thought about this too because I saw that the twins recently had a prom. You know, they're graduating or whatever, and they're just like nothing is going on. Like they're posting TikToks and like, you know, and so it's like I get it, right? Yeah. You don't want to show a defeatist attitude. You want to like, hey, I'm carrying on. Yeah. But sometimes it's like carrying on is like not always the right thing. It's like, I'd rather y'all not post anything. Just keep it cute. Because it makes me feel like, especially the sons, I really feel like the sons, like y'all had no idea, no inkling. Y'all didn't see none of this.
They was participating, even Quincy, and I like him.
You know, the one that looks like him the most,
what's that one's name? The one that raps, King Combs.
I
think it's Christian.
He, to me, something about him is scary.
He just looked like his daddy.
No, something about him just, I don't know. I just can't, I can't put my finger on it, but it's like, yeah.
You know what? They got to a certain age and they probably was able to experience the parties. He probably wanted his sons to get in on the action. You know, or maybe he was actually a good father and kept them separated. Who knows?
Not him wanting to do like a generational, like, ugh.
I don't know. I don't want to think about it. It's just so sad. I think it's sad for them little girls because this is their senior year of high school. Mm-hmm. They got all the big events, prom, graduation. They're about to go to college.
Yeah.
And what are they supposed to do? I feel like them TikToks are all like a front for that. Like when they're just like trying to feel better or make it seem like
that could be true too.
But like, because you don't know what's really going on once they don't post that TikTok.
And you can edit, you know what I mean? You can, and we don't know how many like takes it took or or that's valid.
They could be saying their real feelings off the camera. So like, they all could, to be honest, but it's a crazy situation.
It is.
You know, I feel bad for Cassie. I feel bad for everybody that was victimized by this man. Mm-hmm. I believe everybody because Diddy is always giving off that energy of like he's crazy.
Yeah, creep.
Yeah, creeper. Like the man's a fucking king cuck. Mm-hmm. He's literally sitting in the corner, rubbing semen on his nipples. It's disgusting.
It's
wild. He's literally the definition of a cuckold. And nothing against being a cuckold, but he's the definition of it. He's the worst of the worst.
What's a cuckold? What's that?
It's like a fetish. Like a cuckold's like you fetishize watching your partner have sex with another person while you sit.
Oh, yeah, but he likes it in like a non-swinger, but like sadistic way.
No, this isn't swinging wise. It's like you watch your partner literally have sex and you're just in the corner watching it.
Okay. Well, let me not say weird. I mean, whatever y'all
it's a fetish, don't what you call it.
I'm not gonna yuck y'all yum, but
yuck your yum. Or, I'm not gonna what's the word? Kink shame.
There you go. Like, whatever.
I'm shaming Diddy. Shame on Diddy. Shame on that nigga.
But yeah, that's the end of my clink clink tea time. Thank y'all.
That was very uplifting.
All
right. So now we're gonna get into the main topic. This is the thing we want to talk about. We tried it. We hinted at it a little bit in Casey's tea a little bit, but recently I don't know if you're a fan of the what's this podcast
Grits
called?
and Eggs.
Grits and Eggs podcast. But Deante Kyle has faced a little bit of backlash for this video where he's basically telling black men to keep themselves accountable. I'm just going to play the video for y'all.
You may not harass women. You may know how to take rejection. The majority of men that most women deal with do not. Yeah. And you are accountable for that as well. because I don't got time to figure out which white people are nice, which white people aren't racist, or da 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 da. I have to go on the actions of the group.
Right.
The group as a whole and the history of that group as a whole tells me that they are a danger to me and they are not to be trusted.
Right.
And if you can understand that as a black man and your stance towards white people, then you should absolutely be able to understand women's stance towards you. Mm-hmm. It's not a war on you waged by women. Actually, the war get a little thicker when we start talking about it from the perspective of a woman and the greater society of racism and white supremacy being waged against black people, and then the patriarchal society being waged against women. So they have to deal with two elements. One of those elements we don't have to think about, and honestly, we're perpetuated. Mm. And it's perpetuated against us young to look at women as objects.
Right.
You know, to look at women.
Yeah, but that's the video. If you haven't seen it, he goes on to basically
spit knowledge.
Yeah, the dude be spitting. He always be spitting. I usually agree with what he says, usually most of his takes that I've seen. Casey, I want to hear your opinion on this because he's facing some backlash for this because they're saying he's pandering to women. I just want to know what your opinion is. I know you've watched the full video as well.
Yeah, I watch their podcast on a regular, and I think his perspective is never to quote unquote pander to women. I think he is a truth teller. He's somebody that says it how it is. He doesn't sugarcoat it. And I think in that snippet or reel, he's breaking it down. Like, y'all like to pretend and act like when black women are saying something or when we're calling you on your shit, or women in general calling you on your shit, it's like, oh, you're X, Y, and Z. We start getting disrespectful, right? And you can see it when we talk about the guys that are like free Tory. The fact that you're not able to realize what that statement says without saying it, right? It's like, oh, but I didn't, I wasn't the one who shot Meg, or I don't, I personally don't hit women or whatever, but you're not checking your counterparts. And so because you're not checking your counterparts, that allows that kind of dark negative energy to, continue to manifest and grow bigger and bigger. You're within the problem. You can solve it within the problem. I do think we struggle, and I would say black men struggle with accountability. And I've said this multiple times. The dynamic between black men and black women have been a struggle, and that's not something that we've done to ourselves. That's something that systematically has been put upon us, right? And there's reasons for that, right? If black men and black women get together, right, that's a dangerous force. It's kind of similar to the way that, Jim Crow, they separated us based on like skin color and shit like that, right? We're seeing the effects of that tenfold even now in 2025. So it's similar. The fact that men want to corral or hold somebody down because, oh, that's my bro, you'll see it in these like street interviews, right? It'll be like, oh, funny. Oh, okay, if your girl was having a baby, but your bro got locked up, who are you going to first? Who are you going to help out? Who you running to? 9 times out of 10, they'll tell you, my bro. But if we break it down and think about who's holding you down, who ensures that you're safe, you have everything you need, who holds you accountable, it's black women. But somehow we're always second to last. Never a thought. It's always, oh, let me uplift the bros. Even though it's like, let's have this conversation. Your bro is not productive. Your bro doesn't, care to get his life together. He's a bum. But you would rather support a bum who doesn't add to your life, doesn't uplift you, you know what I mean? Doesn't hold you accountable, doesn't make you better. But because it's like this, I would say this like almost like frat energy to it. Like, yeah, I gotta, support him and back him up just because that's my bro. There's a way you can support somebody, right? But still have them be held accountable, right? You can still be like, oh, no, that's my dog. Hey, you robbed the grocery store, right? This is random. Yeah. You got to do the time, right? Like nobody's against you. The ops are not looking for you. You did something, and there was a consequence. And I think sometimes we get confused on what consequence is. We think that it's the man. It's this war being raged. And it's like, no, it's the consequences of your action. You shot somebody, so you go to jail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You did something wrong to somebody, or you jeopardized somebody's life, or their, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a consequence to that.
I,
And so I do think accountability is something that our community struggles with. And I think by him saying, hey, this is what it is,
yeah.
it's a reflection. I mean, he's holding people accountable, and you can see it by the response.
I I just feel like every time when especially a black man when he's in defense of black women, it's always an issue. You know what I'm saying? And in this situation, the minute that we listened to was he was talking in general, men and women, how basically women have to act a certain way when they do certain things when they know they're going to interact with a man that a man doesn't have to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? A woman has to worry about if a man is gonna assault them or get aggressive with them or this and that. A man just gotta worry about, oh, is she gonna reject me?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So like it's like there's levels to it. I like how he equated it to like not all white people are bad, but majority of them majority of them think a certain way about people of color. You're not gonna trust them right away. So it makes sense why women would feel that way about men because men don't even trust men. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times men especially with their women, they know it. We know these things, and we just sometimes I feel like a lot of men don't do anything. Like they just let it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like they let them disrespect black women and specifically black men. Now I'm getting back to black men. We listen to the disrespect of black women, and then we don't check nobody on it. And when we do check somebody on it, now we being sensitive. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things where every time this guy talks, he does speak truth. He speaks the obvious, and it feels like people are acting like it's not the obvious. The fact that they're saying he's pandering to black women alone is showing the fact that a lot of us men aren't listening to what he's saying. He did not once pander towards a specific person. He was just speaking his truth. He wasn't saying that he wasn't saying that like men are just this is like he just speaking facts. He's saying stuff we already know subconsciously because when we have daughters, we don't just let our daughters go off anywhere with no man. You know what I'm saying? Or when they start dating, we got to make sure we check them first. So we know the capability of another man. And a lot of times I feel like we act like we don't when it comes to like situations like for instance to get Tory Lanez, Meg Thee Stallion. Why everyone talking about free Tory? The evidence is there. She had her back turned. She got shot at and she heard a dude with a gun say dance bitch. And she's the one who didn't press charges. The state pressed charges because he was in violation of his probation. She didn't even have to show up if she didn't want to, if he didn't spend months trying to discredit her and say she was lying. At first, she didn't want to tell the police. She didn't tell the police at first. She said, I don't know what happened.
That situation's so telling of like the relationship between black men and black women. Because even in that moment where literally her life is in danger, her initial thought is, I got to protect him. She said it in her documentary. This was a time where a lot of black men were being killed by police. So I didn't feel like I didn't want to put him in a compromising situation. I think the part that's, messed up is that is I'm not going to say never, but it oftentimes is not reciprocated to black women.
Yeah.
Right? So, when you look at, pictures from like the civil rights, it's the black woman standing in front of the gun. Right?
Yeah.
We're always putting our neck out and standing up for black men. And I think now, and I think the reason why it seems like it's pandering, I think a lot of black women have been vocal about, yeah, fuck that. I'm not doing that no more. I'm not sticking my neck out. I'm not going to go above and beyond for somebody who doesn't go as far as to protect me. You know what I mean? Something as simple as, like you said, even if you're in the space, not in the space, but you don't say anything, your silence speaks volumes. Right? And so it's just like by you not saying something, that's not okay. And I do appreciate the black men because I don't want to make this like a whole like all black men ain't shit. I do appreciate the black men who can own this and be like, you know what? I know my nigga, Leroy, he, beats on women and shit like that. I get in on him. I tell him that's not right, whatever. Because there are black men out there that, do get their people together and they try. Unfortunately, it's not in the same volume. We don't see it in the same volume online. Yeah. Online, all we see is the dudes talking about free Tory, free Diddy. Yeah. I think it's unfortunate. But I mean, I don't. Yeah.
I feel like another thing, I don't feel like another thing that came out of this was a lot of dudes saying that, what do you expect us to do? Just check dudes in the street? And you don't have to just check dudes in the street. You don't have to do that. That's not what he's saying. He's talking about checking your friends. If we all just check our friends when they do some ignorant shit to a woman or say some ignorant shit about a woman, like I'm not gonna lie. We all make our jokes about the opposite sex. That's okay. I'm not saying that we're not allowed to do that. But I'm also saying in serious situations.
But there's a place and a time.
There's a place and a time. And in serious situations, you gotta be able to understand that, like, hey man, this ain't funny. This woman's actually been affected by this. You know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't funny, man. Like, that woman actually getting beat on. Why would you think she did something wrong? Why isn't it okay to be like, fuck that nigga. He don't know. He's not doing the right thing. Fuck him. You know what I'm saying? Like, all these dudes talking about free Tory, free Diddy. It just, like you said, it goes to show that, like, a lot of these dudes are just ignorant ass niggas. And I don't mean to say, like, like, just say niggas is than the niggas. Yeah. But I'm just saying that, like, there's more of them than there is of us. And I'm talking about myself. I don't associate with brothers that treat women that way, personally. If I have a homeboy that I know that treats women bad, I don't really keep close contact with that dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't the coolest. You know what I'm saying? I'd be like, I don't like you in my circle like that. Yeah. And it just goes to show, like, if my closest friends, was to do something crazy to a chick, I'd be like, hey, bro, that's not cool, man. I will say something. Like, I know me. If it don't sit right with me, I have no problem speaking up. Not anymore. As growing up, I was very quiet.
Yeah, I know that's right.
But, like, I'm just saying, like, it's hard to see things like this go down. Because even sometimes I miss my shot to say something. Like, so I'll be on the street, random dude say some crazy shit to me about, and I'd be like, I don't. Sometimes it happens quick like that, and I understand that, But, like, if it's like someone you can actually have a conversation with, be like, hey man, don't be talking like that, man. That's like crazy. I've had conversations with people telling them, like, hey, that's not cool. Like, I know that what I do, and I hope that there's more people like me especially when it comes to women. Because sometimes I do feel like people think I pander towards black women or just women in general.
But I think I really don't. I think it's considered pandering because, like you just said, it doesn't happen often. It's like this, like, whoa, here's this, black guy supporting black women. Like, that's an anomaly. Yeah. Like, we don't see that often. So when you do see it, it's like, all right, you're being a pick-me or you're pandering to black women. And it's just like, no, I'm standing up for what is right. I wouldn't, and it goes as far as to, if I saw a black woman beating on a black man, right, in the street, I'm not going to just walk and be like, yeah, fuck him up. I'm going to be like, hey, I don't know what y'all got going on, but this, there has to be another way, right? But I don't know. It's just a lot of unlearning we have to do. Yeah. And I think that's the part, because if I'm thinking about this, I think when we think about the married couples we have in our lives, like older generations, they'll tell you, oh yeah, Otis was cheating on me for years, but I stuck by him. I stuck by him because, he paid the bills and X, Y, and Z. I also think too, it's shifting more now where black women's like, I'm not tolerating that shit, because women in general have access to so much more. You got to think, before we had to sit there and tolerate shit because we couldn't get a loan. You know what I mean? We couldn't get a bank account. We couldn't vote. Like, there was so much we couldn't do. So we had to depend on a man. And I think now the dependency on men looks different, right? It's like,
Yeah.
still looking for you to be a provider, a protector, and all the things of the above. But I think there's still this like toxic masculinity between black women and
Yeah.
black men. And I would just say we just need to continue to hold that standard, hold people accountable. Say fuck no. Like I'm not tolerating that. Because people only do what you allow. And so if you allow people in your circle to do certain things, even if it's not towards you, but other people, you're condoning that behavior and you're saying that's okay,
Yeah.
even in you just sitting there not saying anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
I just need us to do better. Like that's all I need. I just need us to hold each other accountable more. And I'm not saying that like we don't. Like sometimes we do, we just don't say nothing. I just think it's dope to see that like the times are changing. And like even I want to say about 5 years ago there was this big boom called the red pill stuff. And it was like a bunch of dudes being like essentially just being toxic about women. Like, and it was really blowing up on the internet. And now it's starting to seem like that's starting to fall. Like, no, people are starting to think that's lame and it's corny, and it's like you shouldn't talk about women like that. You shouldn't treat women like this. Like, women aren't your objects. And I feel like that stuff was molding young men for a minute, and now it's starting to go away. I hope, but I feel like these guys are as they get demonetized, and all these dudes are peddling this nonsense about like the superior man, the ideal, all that nonsense, all that toxic talk, and we're starting to realize that women can do shit on their own. They don't need us. I feel like a lot of people feel like, a lot of dudes feel like women need us. They don't need us to like pay the bills and all this now. What they do need us for is to be emotionally supportive. To just be there for them. To listen to them. To fucking just be like literally just exist in their essence and give them no stress. Not fix their problems, but not add to their problems. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's for a lot of dudes that can't understand that concept, especially emotionally intellectually. Like they don't have an emotional intelligence to understand that, like, no, me worked and provide is all I need to do, and it's like, nah, you got to do a little bit more of that heavy lifting.
You got to pour more in. That's not enough.
That's not enough no more, because a woman could, if you was gonna go, they can go out and make the money or get another job to make up for your loss. They proved that, especially with how the black community, how they put a lot of black men in prison for petty crimes to force the black woman to get this strong, to make the black man and the black woman butt heads more, to cause these more broken homes. It's a whole thing. It's systematic. This
is what I'm saying. Like I'm not gonna say that it's all on them, but at some point you have to stop and unlearn it. You have to stop and be like, that's not okay. I need to figure this out. I think
like the whole Zeus network is the worst thing to ever happen for the black community.
Oh my God, ghetto is fuck.
All that nonsense,
like
all that shit is so bad for us. We got black women talking about, I'm gonna have you looking like Emmett Till. It like that's an insult. And like that's a fucked up thing to say. Like it's just like we got
the references. You know what I mean? Like I will say the younger generation, it's just like I think there was one girl on TikTok or Instagram that thought Emmett Till was a girl. Or it's just like there's so much we have to unlearn and then learn, right? Exactly. Being honest. If we're being transparent, this administration, Black history is looking scary, right? Yeah. It's a lot of research and a lot of digging you got to do on your own to get your mind, you know what I mean? Get on the right track mentally. Yeah. I would say too, it's not something that is, you go to therapy once and you're fixed, you're cured. Absolutely not. There's a lot of things that I feel like we as a society need to work through. This just happens to be a big part of it. And I think the first step is realizing that Black women are not waging this war. And it's like this made up thing. It's like we're not anti-Black men. And I want to say this too. I feel like I've been seeing a lot of interracial couples on my like Instagram, and people have been like, oh, she couldn't find a Black man. And it's like, but what does that tell you though? That Black women are now to the point where it's like, I can't find a Black man I can trust or I can feel safe around. And when I say safe, I don't mean like just physically, but emotionally. I can literally let my guard down and really trust that, this connection is genuine. You want everything but the best for me, right? That's saying something that Black women are like, I'm cool on it. I'm just going to try this, But yeah. And there's no agenda. I think people sometimes overdo it and be like, the agenda is so that there's not a lot of Black kids. They trying to, I don't think it's that deep.
I don't think so. I don't think it's that deep either.
I don't think it's that deep. I think we just need to unlearn a lot of shit.
Yeah. And I just think like once we do unlearn that or learn all that stuff, I think that will push us back to like being like black man, Black
woman. Of course.
As a Black man, if you have a Black woman by your side, it's the greatest thing ever. The peace that you have is phenomenal. That's how Tyler would say it. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's just one of those things where it might take a while, and we need more dudes like this talking on mics. Basically speaking the truth. I ain't hear nothing wrong. Now, if you heard something wrong with what he said, that might be a you problem. That might be something you need to reflect on in yourself to understand who you are and what kind of person you are.
But even in the way we disagree, cool. Let's say like, oh, I don't think that part was right. There's a way to go about it.
Yeah.
Where you kind of like, hey, can you explain that more? Because there's times where people are talking to me and I'm like, cool. I heard what you're saying. I'm not really grasping it. Can you go in depth? But we're just so quick to be like, nah, he's a dickhead. This guy's pandering to Black women. No, if you didn't understand it, that's okay. Ask for clarity. Ask for an extension on, okay, can you break that down a little further more? Because I think half the time too, especially on social media, people take stuff for face value and they don't sit with it. I think that's our other thing too. We're just so quick to be like, nah, you're wrong. Nah, you're pandering. And it's just like, no, sit with what he said. Because what he said is not some light shit. I want to be honest. He's talking about multi-layer systematic things that have gotten us to this point where we are right now.
Exactly.
But everything is like, hey, you got 30 seconds, make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like one of those things where we just gotta do better. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. I said all I could say. We just gotta do better.
Do better and be better, y'all.
If Tyler was here, he'd recommend an album. He didn't send me no album recommendations, so there's gonna be no Tyler's Turntables this week. But if you haven't subscribed to the Patreon, please subscribe to the Patreon because I'm talking big shit about Tyler. And I don't want no one to hear that unless they pay me $5. I'm not a very expensive date. You know what I'm saying? But this has been another episode of No Clearance Podcast.
Gang, gang.
Stay black.
Stay blessed.
Peace.